Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame. I just want to thank y'all so much for dropping by my channel, spending a few moments of your time with me. So if you like the content, feel free to subscribe to my channel if you already haven't and like videos and all that good stuff. So I'm just saying, I really would appreciate that. And apparently it does amazing things for me and um outside of YouTube. It actually motivates me to continue to put up stuff. So anyway, y'all see what the title is. Let's go ahead and get into this. Okay. This whole episode is surrounding Evan and Gently going to various places to seek marital counseling. The first place they go to, it was the traditional type of place. You go in, and that hour that you sit with them, you tell them all about you individually and then you as a couple and all that. So Evan basically was like, hey, I used to be the vice president, the CEO, and all this other stuff of these various companies. Like he kept saying, I used to be. So I think he's not working at all anymore. Some stuff went down when the guy who we've seen be like his partner, he leaked some information that shouldn't have been leaked, and or somehow it got leaked and it just didn't go right. People were not happy about that and the business suffered immensely. So that is something that is not happening anymore. It was an amazing app. It was an amazing business. It was something that was needed. And despite the good intentions that Evan had for it, it did not thrive as it should have. And a lot of things were thrown in the way as roadblocks. And I don't know if it's something that he is willing to try to resurrect, but we'll see in the future. But yeah, that went awry and I was shocked because he kept saying, I used to do this. I was like, what? Y'all, Gently has gone forward in her career. She's a working woman, like a real working woman. She was working before, for Miss Luma, but she still is working for Miss Luma, but in another capacity. She actually produces podcasts, and it is very, very late nights and all of that, to the point of where Evan doesn't really see her like that, and they don't spend much time together, meaning in every aspect of it. So yeah, everything is suffering in their marriage at this point. This man ended up allowing them to do this exercise where they faced each other and just looked at each other. And Evan ended up complimenting her and saying that she looked really nice in this dress. And somehow things took a turn for the worst, and they kind of were going towards the direction of arguing. And the marriage counselor, that's what I'm going to call him, he had to kind of redirect the conversation because she was just like, well, I don't understand what you felt was happening, that you thought that we needed to come here. Like, what's the problem? And she thinks it's just a problem that he has. And he was like, what do you mean? It's us. Like, we are having these marital issues. Like, what are you talking about? And she was just like, I don't even understand the problem. I'm like, girl, what you mean you don't understand the problem? Y'all are nowhere near what y'all were before. And this is still considered to be the honeymoon stage. They are 2 years and 3 months into a marriage. They got married, they got engaged not too long and married not too long after they actually made things official, after, that year of all that stuff that went down initially. So yeah, they ain't but 2 years in. So I'm like, what you mean? Girl, what in the world? So yeah, they ended up having to tell him, how did they even first meet? And for some reason, Gently didn't even know. She said cheesecake. And I'm like, girl, that's not how y'all first met. Y'all first met. I mean, it all happened on the same day, but y'all met initially at the library. Like, girl, what is you talking about? Bookstore, wherever it was. And Evan said that. And she was like, oh, well, my memory is so bad. And I was just like, okay. I mean, I guess. Then, like, they had another moment. And I was just like, why do they keep having these moments like this? They were going back and forth. Evan does not feel like things are how they should be. At times, he feels as though he should have just left things the way they were, which of course is going to come off in a negative way to someone when you feel as though you have made this major commitment and then you're saying this to them and it's like, what you mean? So yeah, y'all, it is a lot going on. They're doing flashbacks to when, y'all excuse that, y'all gonna see a bra strap and everything else, doing the most while I'm moving around, being nervous and everything else. But yeah, they kept showing flashbacks of when they had their first date of sorts and all that, and how she wanted certain things from Miss Luma, and in her mind, he just thinks that, oh well, let me just throw money at it, and that'll fix everything, and that's not how that goes. And she just feels as though he does not take ownership in his part in what makes her feel the way she feels. And for some reason she's just like, look, you just think that I just feel this way for no reason. You are doing things to make me feel the way that I feel. But he ain't really understanding it. And then even in moments where they're supposed to be able to kind of have a safe space to say that, he don't feel like she's being receptive, and it's like almost becoming a burden to even listen to her respond, because she's like, see, you're doing it, right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no. So they have moved on to the next counselor, and it's someone who Miss Luma actually threw in as a recommendation. And Evan actually is questioning whether or not this person even has degrees to speak of. They actually go on the inside, and she has several. So that was put to bed quite quickly. So I was like, put some respect on her name. But anyway, the person who is the marriage counselor in this situation is Wendy Raquel Williams. And I know y'all know her from the game. She was the football player's mama, Malik. And she played Steve Harvey's love interest and old schoolmate when he had his TV show. She's been on a lot of stuff. But yeah, she was on the game and she was on there, and yeah, she's been on a lot of stuff. So y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all, one of the first things that she said to them was, what do y'all have going on? Okay, she told me that y'all are looking at various counselors, and that's smart. And she let them know real quick, hey, I cut down. I go ahead and get down to the nitty gritty, and what's going on. So he, goes into his spiel again about how he used to have this tech company. It went down in flames because of some miscalculations, and made a point to say that their finances are good and she doesn't have to worry about anything and they're not hurting for money. And all the while she's looking at Gently. She is observing her body language and all this other stuff. And in all honesty, most people would probably look at this part of the episode and think that she's like heavily favoring Gently's side, probably because she's a woman or something like that. But I'm just saying. But like I said, she was looking at her body language, and she went on to ask Gently how she felt about that, because there is this stigma attached to that. When even though you are supposed to be as one when you're married, when you are the one who isn't bringing that money in, or you weren't the one who was bringing that money in, because now she is bringing money in and he still has money, he comes from money, he's good. And it's just a certain way people will look at you. It's completely different when the shoe is on the other foot. So he's kind of finding out how she feels about basically being kept. So it's a very interesting conversation. It's something that he was basically oblivious to how she felt in regards to that. So it's been crazy just watching it unfold. So Gently is still, like I told y'all in the last video, Gently is still in her feelings about how things went down. that night when she was supposed to be helping to get that, party or whatever you want to call it together for that investor. She made it clear that, she didn't feel appreciated for the things she'd been doing. And at that time, she didn't have anything going on except basically waiting on him hand and foot, making sure the house was taken care of. She would clean up and just do things for him and make sure he was comfortable. But it was kind of like she was living for him and not living for herself as well. And that can be something that puts a strain on a relationship, as you already see with this unfolding, that is exactly what is happening. So she just felt like she was just there. She didn't really feel like she was being seen. She didn't really feel like she was doing much of anything for real. But she, as far as showing that, I'm here and I'm present, let me, clean up, let me do these things that I'm not really used to doing, because I'm used to doing things on my own, and I had enough that I was bringing in on my own to take care of myself. I didn't have a lot, but I had enough. And now I'm coming into a situation where I don't have to do anything at all. Yes, I love this person. He is providing for me and for us. I don't have to worry about bills. I don't have to worry about debt. I don't have to worry about any of these things, but it comes with a price. And he is just not here for it. He's shaking his head the whole time. He is just not here for none of this. And she's just like, look, he's a very generous person. I don't want to seem as though I'm crying about anything or that I'm ungrateful, but it's just a lot. And that can be a lot that you can put on a person once that is, that, because that is one of the main things that usually ruins a marriage, is the financial aspect of it. They went over how things in the beginning were so amazing, because she was like, look, you don't support me. And that night when I wanted to tell you about my idea for the podcast, you weren't here for it. And he was like, look, you already knew what I was going through. I was stressed. I had all this stuff going on. These people was about to come over here. You wanted me to drop everything I had going on in my mind, trying to get ready for this, just to hear about that. And in her mind, she's just like, dang, that you're not supporting me. So then he was like, is that an accurate statement? You cannot just sit up here and say that I don't support you. So then they end up having flashbacks where he was like helping her to go and get that refrigerator she wanted to get because she needed a flatbed. It just kept flashing back to all these different things. So it got to the point where Wendy Raquel Williams' character had to be like, okay, wait a minute, y'all. We can reflect on the good, but I need y'all to work with me and listen. Breathe in the positive and the butterflies that y'all felt when y'all first got together, and breathe out all the negative and all the things that are not conducive to an amazing marriage. And they actually started remembering all the good times that they used to have and how things were when they first got together. And it was beautiful, of course, because y'all, I was so in love with this show when it first came on. And now it's just like, oh my gosh, like why? Why is there so many twists and turns now so early on in this marriage? So she actually wanted to know, how was everything going in the bedroom? And the way she said it, for some reason, Evan did not catch on. He was not picking up what she was putting down, and gently had to let him know she's talking about sex. So they have not really had sex like that. It's definitely nowhere near like what it was when they first got together, and very, very much so lacking. And they were talking about some more things as far as trust is concerned, and he doesn't feel like trust is an issue. And she said, oh no, trust is the problem. Because after I saw the way you treated your homeboy with whom you actually built this company with, I saw the way that everything went down with that. And I'm just like, wow, you treated him like that. I don't know how to feel. And he is just convinced that the way everything went down is not the way that she should be seeing it, because that's just really not what it was. But it is. He made a mistake. Things went, he didn't agree with him most of the time, as we've seen. Like, he'll say, oh, well, I want to do this. And then the guy would be like, I don't think that'd be a good idea. And like, in all honesty, he just felt like they were not sticking to the values in which that they said they wanted to go ahead and do something in particular. They set out to do something. And as they got deeper and deeper into it, becoming bigger than what it was and what it could be, and it just seemed like it was really within their reach, Evan just started making these decisions like, nah. And no matter what he did, it was just going to be seen as wrong, and he was dropped like a bad habit. So ever since that happened, Gently has been kind of side-eyeing him. So, they are actually now going to the last and final person of the day, and you can tell that it is somebody who Gently chose. They are outside, sitting on pillows and, just having casual conversation. And it seems to be going well. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be good. So Evan is discussing how he is cool with one of the uncles and all that. And this is when he actually learns that her parent, Ben, who y'all already know what I'm going to say, he will forever be known as the person who screwed Cousin Faith on Soul Food. He didn't know that when Evan proposed and everything went awry and she left and all that stuff before she came back, she actually went to Ben and was talking to him, was crying, and he let her know, like, look, you always have been running. Ever since everything happened with your mama and all that, you have ran. Your mama didn't come and get you that one night. You ran. Ever since that day, you run away from everything. And this person is a really good person. He loves you. He sees you for who you are. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm seeing. And like, he has been here for him basically since day one. And usually, I ain't gonna lie to you, even though I hate to admit it, parents, especially your mama, they know when some of your friends are trash. They know. Even if you don't know and you want to try to convince them otherwise, oh, they know. They can see through it, all of it. But yeah, he could tell from day one that Evan was a good dude, and she just didn't even know that he was like cool with him like that and liked him like that. And what he did to eventually, try to get her hand in marriage. So when he found out during this, therapy, as I want to call it, session for the marriage counseling, he was like, what? He likes me? Y'all talked about me? Like, what? This is how y'all feel? Cool. And, he felt some type of way. It seemed like they were making progress. So I was like, well, that's good, because this is too much. We all know that all of Gently's people love Evan. But when it was asked about, how does everybody feel about Gently, it was like, here we go. And so Evan really trying to play it off like, ain't nothing really out here for her to be saying that for. But we know his mama is not here for her like that. And yeah, if nobody else, the mama definitely ain't here for her like that, despite them being married right now. His daddy has always been cool with her, especially after he found out how things were and that he basically grew up around the corner or whatever, like not too far away from her parent, her father, Ben. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But yeah, and they, of course, did flashbacks to how things were before when his mama did the most and how everybody was saying all this vile stuff about Gently. So it's like, don't try to sit up here and make it seem like everything is all happy-go-lucky when it's not. And I was like, yes, please let him know, because he need to just stop trying to put on, because this man is sitting here in front of y'all. You want to act crazy and act like everything is all amazing because you're in front of company, as people like to call it. So they ended up having to do this exercise where they put both of their heads together facing each other, of course, and it just basically kind of like push. So Gently is like overly uncomfortable, and Evan, was like, how long do we have to do this? And old boy is kind of like, don't worry about it, like just roll with it, Eventually Gently gives up, and the guy's like, if you had stayed in it a little while longer, you could have at least enjoyed the moment and saw the moment for, like, hey, this is us being together. This is us spending time together. This is closeness. This is intimacy. This is me enjoying being with you, near you, all that. But that didn't happen because Gently gave up. So he was like, that's all right. We'll, go to another exercise. And that's when he started calling out certain words to see what each of them would say in reference to it. So, of course, money was thrown out there. Of course, intimacy, was thrown out there. Like things that they are struggling with was thrown out there. And you could tell by their responses that there is a lot of trouble on the horizon. So it's not looking too good, y'all. So, like I was saying earlier in this video, they don't spend much time together. And it's to the point where, because Gently does what she does and she keeps the hours that she does, she's lucky if she sees him 2 times out of the week at night, like whenever she gets home, like 2 times. And they don't really have sex. They don't really interact with one another. And see, this is another reason why I haven't been able to really do my video, because random animals doing the most. I'm telling you, this has not been like this until recently. I don't understand. But anyway, y'all, I'm sorry. It's just like, why? I'm almost done, y'all. So anyway, it was just to the point where nothing was adding up. See, then it made me forget what I was saying. Lord, give me a second. So anyway, yeah, everything has changed now that the shoe is on the other foot. Evan is not doing anything right now, and Gently is the one who's coming in. So Gently's just looking at him like, I don't understand you. I was there basically waiting on you hand and foot, and you didn't have any complaints then. But now that I'm doing all this, now you have all the complaints in the world. And she does not feel as though she needs to report to him or tell him her every move and all this other stuff. And he looking at her like, we married, so what makes you think you don't have an obligation to do these things? And she looking at him like, I don't know what makes you think I'm supposed to do this, but I'm a grown woman and I go and come as I please. And I was just like, Lord, why in the world did she get into an argument with him and was like, why is it that you don't want me to do the one thing that makes me happiest in my life, which of course is doing the podcast and stuff. So he was like, really? So I am not on that list. I'm not what makes you happy. Being with me doesn't make you happy. And so she's looking at him like, here we go. You already know what I mean. And I'm just like, whoo, it's so tense up in here. Lord, it's too much. Woo child. Well, I tell you, it went all the way left. It went all the way left. They started arguing. She told him that he was being weak. Oh my gosh, it was too much. Y'all, everything went left with that to the point where he was like, look, okay, y'all, we not gonna do this. I think that this last exercise will bring everything together. Y'all, he ended up taking them to this area that was like a koi pond. And all he essentially wanted them to do was to stand hand in hand facing each other and just stare at each other and see how long they could connect. Y'all, when I tell y'all, that part of the episode alone spoke volumes. Y'all, I cannot. They kept going back and forth. They were playing music in the background, just playing music in the background. And they kept panning back over to the water that showed their reflection. And you eventually see Gently drop her head. Their hands eventually start to unclasp and they are no longer holding hands. So it seems as though their marriage is pretty much over. It was so sad. Like, that's why my energy is like low. Like last week, I was so shocked. I know my energy was gone. Like, I was just like, this is not what I signed up for. I know it's a TV show, but I'm just saying. Anyway, y'all, Thank you so much for staying tuned. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Please like this video if you enjoyed anything that I said or agree with anything I said, and comment as well. I comment back. So anyway, I'll see y'all later on. Have a good night. Bye.